Hello, everyone. I said, hello, everyone. Thank you for your warm welcome. This is my wife's living room. I say my wife because in case she hears me, she's right out there. This is our house. We built this house in 2007 because we think that Orlando, that's you, deserve a nice, small, intimate, quiet, beautiful sounding room for chamber arts. And that's what we do all the time. So I always want you to feel welcome here. And I want you to tell your friends that we exist and that we're here for the community, which is, again, you. Every month we have a different visual artist. This year they were all young. So right now, for the rest of September, our artist is Veronica Rose. She's a Marine Corps veteran. I want to say like maybe 30-ish. And she started a nonprofit to help other veterans who have PTSD and other issues by teaching them art. And so I encourage you to encourage her. And that means primarily by talking to her when she's here, and when she's not, buy her artwork. And so these two pieces are quite expensive. There's a lot of gold in this one. This is actual gold that you see there. And this is also, I think this one is $12,000 and this one's $4,000. But the other ones are all like $420. There's $10 items, $3 items in the lobby that you can buy and support her efforts in helping other veterans, by teaching them art. She's going to paint one more time live on the 27th, which is a Wednesday. Every Wednesday we have a different art and wellness event here. And the fourth Wednesday, which is the 27th, is mine, which is Benoit's audiophile sessions with that F. And basically we listen to symphonic music that's of interest, or maybe it's different women composers, or in this case we're listening to Maxwell Davies's 10th symphony. So it's absolutely not Mozart or Beethoven. It's very, very much a sound exploration, and it should be pretty interesting. And she's gonna be painting live during that event. So those are all free except for the first one. Energy Wheel is a ticketed event because people lie down on the floor, so I have to move all the seating. So there's not a lot of room for a lot of people. So this one is, it's ticketed. But the other ones, and even when there's a fifth Wednesday, Janice Rouse does her body alignment, breath, and sound session. It's really, really interesting. So whenever you want to feel better, just come here on a Wednesday. If it's the second, third, fourth, or fifth Wednesday, it doesn't have to cost you anything. So it's pretty cool. Also, as you saw tonight, most of our Sunday night events are pay what you want. So right now, Authentic Selves is the only recurrent monthly event on the third Sunday of every month. But starting in January, except for February, but starting in January, we're going to have the Rejuvenation Orchestra, which is the Sam Rivers Legacy Big Band. And they're going to play here, so it's a 15-piece band in which I played for a few years back in the early 2000s, actually even before. And Sam Rivers, if you don't know, is a legend of free jazz, mostly. And he lived here, is the end of his life here in Orlando. So he's a very important cultural icon here in Orlando. And so you can see the big band keeping his work alive because, of course, he passed away. This celebrating his 100th, and he would have turned 100 years old, like last week. So there were celebrations in New York City, here in Orlando. But anyways, every month we're going to get that on a Sunday, which is totally free, or you can donate. Of course, we always encourage you to encourage us to keep going because we're going to spend more than $1 million on programming this year for the first time. It's expensive, so we need your support. So having said that, anything else? Oh, yes, very important. So a lot of the things that we do here are concerts, or, of course, as you can see, there's always visual arts involved. But this week, aside from Wednesday, which is the Deep Listening with Keith Lee, who's a great local composer, so that's a very participatory thing. You're going to do kind of like Tai Chi stuff, and then you're going to, guided listening outside in the nature and inside, and then you actually contribute and you play some music together as a group because it's all about listening to other people and yourself, and your inner self too. So, but after that, very important, Friday and Saturday is going to be Robert Callender's, so Bobby Callender's He's going to perform live. So he's played live 3 times here. But just so you know, like in the past 10 years, he's done maybe 5 live shows anywhere in the world. Like, so he does not perform much anymore. This is the 55th anniversary of his album Rainbow, which was recorded in 1968. So it's like a rock rhythm section with a string quartet and a sitar and tabla. It's very psychedelic. You know, this was like the beginning of integration of Indian music and Eastern philosophies into the Western Occidental world. And I very much encourage you to come and see that, because it may be his last live show that he ever does. And those albums from 55 years ago, if you find like a original vinyl, it'll cost you at least $1,500. Like, they're collector's items. Like, so it's a big deal. I'm just saying. So anyways, I've talked enough. Please silence your cell phone, disable your flash. We have bathrooms one on each floor, and disable your flash, and please silence your cell phone. And now I would like to introduce the genius mind, hardworking person who started this whole thing. Please help me welcome Lauren White, everybody.
Lower your expectations. That was quite an intro. So welcome to the show, Authentic Selves. We call it that because that's what we really want everybody to be here, is to feel comfortable being authentically themselves and sharing whatever they would like with us. So I've seen some first-timers here. I see some people that have been here a lot. I see some first-time performers, and we have some seasoned performers. That is totally my phone that I didn't turn on. Yes, it's a Star Trek ring. Don't judge me. So let's go over a few rules. Do not touch the mic. Benoit will hunt you down, and then you'll hunt me down. So if you are performing in the open mic, you're going to stand in this area here. The show is streaming. If you signed up for the open mic and you have not seen me yet, please let me know. And I hope you enjoy the show. One more rule when we do the open mic. Who knows the one more rule? What's the time limit? Are you the only one that knows? 5 minutes? I know some of y'all have been here. It's 5 minutes. Okay, one more time with me. Everybody say it. 5 minutes. Okay. And if you look at me and ask me how much more time you got, I'm going to say, I don't know, because I'm listening to you and I'm taking pictures. So honor system, folks. So tonight, our artist is an author, podcaster, public speaker, and business consultant. She is a national and international #1 best-selling author with 2 published books, and she's co-authored another book. And she does a lot of book signing events, which I also believe she is going to do tonight, because she does have some of her books up front for purchase. And tonight she is going to be reading from her book, We Are Still Supposed to Be Slaves, The Chronicles of Being Black in America. Miss G.B. Lynch.
Thank you. I really appreciate you. This is my first time here, and I was just so overwhelmed at how beautiful the space is, first and foremost. But at the same time, I just appreciate you all for coming out as well. What I'd like to do first is share with you a poem that's actually inside of the book. And this is my first published book. I've been writing a very long time, but during the pandemic shutdown, it gave me the opportunity to be able to literally sit down and focus and do all of the research that I needed to do for this book. It's actually going to be a series of 3 books. A lot of people get pulled in by the title, and when you start to read, you really get to understand why I actually chose that title. This particular poem is actually called When This Is All Over. Fists up in the air, signs held by people that care. Not a cry from one but all, not a cry for one but all. No more sitting in silence. Sometimes the meek are pushed to violence. Our passions are seen as rage by those that want our rights caged. Imagine being in our skin for a minute. You probably couldn't slide in it. It takes courage to be me, to walk the tightrope of free, not free. By some, to not be seen as a human being, with feelings of love, pain, and meaning. To carry your race on your shoulders in everything that you do. To carry everything good and everything not so good too. Every success and every failure of you, the smiles and the frowns blend all together like a roux. Do you feel your ancestors' weight? The weight of knowing you owe a debt just by fate. For that reason, there are water streaks on faces that chant, to memories that make them rant. For change of a system that works for some, a system that sees white as right and others as wrong. For the evolution of what's to come, we refuse for our present to be our past. And looks like we have your attention at last. For generations, generations, and generations, this has been the norm. The issues that are being fought today should have been long overcome. Our parents, our grandparents, and our ancestors we love, whether they are here or above. We stand with our hands held high as well as our heads, and we seek blessings from the sky about our quest for justice for all, and for injustice we won't fall. For the same old lip service of the past, the efforts will lead you to political unrest at last. It is a new day, and that is clear. No more of the runaround, my dear. The line has been drawn in the sand. You have to pick a side today, not in the past. So show us where you stand. Your brutality as we march won't bring this to an end. This is definitely history in the making, and for many of us, we know it so well. And others have seen it and failed. From the 2020 pandemic to the 2020 protesters, understand that when this is all over, the key will be for us to see each other not as separates, but it's for all of us to stand together as equals. Now, I wrote this. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I wrote this first installment of my book, my initial book that I published, titled We Are Still Supposed to Be Slaves, The Chronicles of Being Black in America, in 2020, because we all had so much going on, so much that we, that was fueled by so many different things within not just our country, but around the world. So at that time, I felt that way. And I could only, I guess, put pen to paper because I had time. Now, what I originally wanted to share with you is the introduction to this book one section. And by the title always draws in everyone until you start reading it. So I usually say, I know what you're thinking. Hear me out before you try to crucify me. There have been and are a lot of things happening around the United States and around the world, for that matter, that are bathed in racism. Hate is not something new. It's not the latest game released. It's not the latest toy that has been released this year or any other year. It has been a vile staple of cultures since the beginning of time. From slavery discussed in Greek mythology time to the enslavement of the Irish. From the enslavement of Native Americans and others to slavery within Africa. Then upward to the first recorded African slave trade in America in the year 1619. The vulgarity has long been associated throughout history. As it's been written, the first Dutch slave ship left Central or either West Africa back in that year. They were headed to Jamestown, Virginia's British colony, with 20 Africans for use as indentured servants and slaves, although in actuality, the African slave trade started way before 1619. Ever heard of the sub-Saharan slave trade? No worries. They didn't teach that in any of the schools that I went to. So if you have not heard of it, it's no problem. The sub-Saharan slave trade was the Arab slave trade between 8650 and 1900. Yep, the Arabs. They were on the trading and enslavement of Africans way before anyone else. One could probably say they were the founding fathers of this mess. This is another one of those tidbits that's not talked about or shared within history typically. The number of people enslaved by Arab Muslims is a controversial topic. Why? I'm glad you asked. Well, because the majority of the Africans that were taken at that time, boys as well as men, they were already castrated at that time, or they were actually taken to be castrated. The reason that this took place is because they wanted to use them as guards for their harem, for their beautiful women. Think about it. If a man or a boy, if they're castrated, they're no competition for you if they're guarding your women. You don't have to worry about it. They're going to be great guards. They were called eunuchs, and turning males, young and adult, into eunuchs was a sick but profitable practice. Unfortunately, most of them died from just bleeding to death from this process. African women were taken too. They were sold or kept for sex as well as domestic work. The truth is that over 20 million Africans were taken against their will from their homelands and transported across the desert to be sold or taken into bondage by Arab traders alone. At least 80 million more African people died covering that trans-Saharan trip across the desert. Like, I can't even imagine in those types of conditions and being expected to not only make this treacherous trip, but at the same time, I can't imagine what they had to have been thinking at the time as far as what awaited them, not knowing, but yet still having fear, I'm sure, of what the expectation may be. This nauseating act of human trafficking in the transatlantic began in the year 1500 all the way to 1866. I'll give you a second. Yeah. So your math is correct. That is 366 years that this took place. So while thinking about that, that's almost 400 years of slave trips and ships traveling back and forth. That's a long time, to say the least. Portugal led the slave trip, the slave trade during the initial period, during its pinnacle in the 1700s. The British and Americans took over the lead as they started to see, okay, wait a minute, maybe they're onto something here. And all interested parties, saw more demand for their human product. For me, it's hard, again, to visualize that roughly 12.5 million African human beings were taken from their homeland to be sold into slavery. Each step of the way, being taken from their family, their loved ones, the lives that they knew, the lives that they shared with others, and being sold as chattel and being separated from everyone and everything that they knew. The Portuguese and Europeans, they traded goods for Africans for a cargo of people as part of this twisted bartering business system initially. And many of us are unaware of that part of our history, and it stings a little bit. Actually, it stings a big bit when you think about that. Not all Africans were kidnapped for purposes of enslavement. Many were sold in exchange, except for wanted goods. The Middle Passage, as it was called, those trips within that Atlantic Ocean time frame, it's just too hard to really digest all that they had to have gone through. Being shackled, connected to each other, bound within those ships, connected to someone next to you that may be alive, may not be alive, and you're still connected. You're still shackled with this human being. One of the slave ships was loaded for the Middle Passage, as it was known, sailing across the Atlantic Ocean, heading for the Americas, usually took 2 or 3 months. 2 or 3 months in this kind of condition, just kind of sailing along, again, shackled in these kind of conditions. Just kind of ponder that for a moment. The voyage took the slaves to one or more ports where they were put up for sale. Slave ships equated to an inhumane introduction to a lifetime of bondage for them. Because if you were afraid, not quite knowing exactly what awaited you when you got to your destination, it was no longer a secret once you got there and they set these sails up. Then I'm sure the wheels started kind of turning to give, this idea of, this is going to be life going forward. And again, this was life until 18 1865's 13th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. Technically, the perceived right to own people was so strong that over 1,000 Confederate and Union soldiers had their lives in one battle alone taken in 1863's Battle of Gettysburg during this country's Civil War. Even today's human trafficking is nothing more than a modern day adaptation of slavery. There were even cases of people being hired as nannies that once they were set up with these jobs, if you will, their passports were taken so that they cannot leave freely. Effectively, now they have you and you're going to be their slave. You're going to do exactly whatever it is that they want you to do with these different threats that they're going to use to support you actually doing this. People are being kidnapped daily and sold for various reasons. It's apparent that owning humans in one aspect or another has been and still is attractive to some other humans. Again, back then, insurance companies are one of the businesses that really profited from this situation from enslavement of humans. They insured slaves just as you would a car or home insurance for your house, property. Because again, this human being was considered no less than, say, maybe you need insurance on your cow. It's probably hard to kind of grasp that from what we experience in today's times, but that's literally the same concept. Again, throughout all this entire process, everyone connected within this situation made money. Slavery was a cash cow. Don't let anyone tell you anything different. The only people that did not profit were the enslaved people themselves. And again, I'm not here to have a pity party. That's not what this is about, and that's not what we want. What we want is to enlighten you. A lot of people would be happy with us not having these types of conversations, with us not writing this type of information. A lot of people have told me on different book signings, they'll say, I know this already. I've heard everything already. Why are we still talking about this? I can answer that question. The reason we are still talking about this is because we don't know everything. And honestly, that's literally what this book is about. This first book that I wrote, there's going to be a series of 3. There's a lot of information in my book that a lot of people, when they read it, they'll be like, oh my gosh, I never heard this. I never knew that. Exactly. And when I was researching this initially, I felt that at this time, at my age, there should not be a lot of information that pops up about my history, the history of my ancestors, that I'm saying, oh my God, I never knew that. I never heard that. So with me, I have my own sounding board, my husband. So if I hear something I'm not aware of, I'll tell him and ask him rather. I'm like, did you know this? Now, if he says no, then I know something's wrong, because between the two of us at our age, that answer should more often be a yes instead of a no. So I started finding there are a lot of no's here that, we're hearing. That's just not, that doesn't make any sense. So this is information that we need to know. It's not information that we don't know. And it's not just for Black people or African American people. Black history is American history. We're intertwined. And it's not a situation where you should feel that it can't be discussed, or that we feel that we cannot discuss it without having understanding and appreciation for what everyone went through. It should be shared as far as I'm concerned. Because again, whatever we don't know that happened in the past, we're destined to repeat it. The good and the bad, but especially the bad. I definitely appreciate all of you for listening to me. Again, I have not only this book, which is the first one that I published. It's going to be 2 more in the series that's coming that I'm working on. I also have a cookbook that I wrote, and it's about the history of some really popular soul food dishes. I thought it was going to be a quick book. I was like, okay, well, this is cute. I know a lot of recipes that I used to ask my mother, like, she was an amazing cook. But I used to ask her, well, how'd you learn to make that? Where did this recipe come from? That type of thing. And so I decided, well, again, soul food's really popular right now. We got all the celebrity chefs that have decided to put their spin on different, soul food dishes and restaurants and what have you. So I was like, let's see where this all started from. So when I started researching, honestly, it doesn't always lead back to where you think it will, as far as the origins. So I purposely did not put any pictures in the book, but because I want you all to have a conversation while you're in the kitchen cooking, because people tell me that the comments that I have in there, kind of comical. So I hope you'll enjoy it if you decide to purchase. But I have a lot of material coming. Again, I don't want to go over my time because I haven't been keeping track as I should have. Don't tell anybody. But again, I thank you all so much for listening to me and for coming out tonight. I hope I see y'all. Thank you.
Feel better? You still there? She's talking. Usually Harold is the one that gives us the history lessons. So you got competition tonight, Harold. Let's see what you talk about today. So thanks to GB for coming out and sharing her book with us. I'm curious what she would write here in 2023 in Florida right now, but that's that's something altogether different. So we'll start the open mic portion of our show. I'm going to call you up 3 at a time, and if you would move over to the wall here and line up, it will help the show go a lot faster as we have more and more people signing up for the open mics, and I like to try and get everybody in that has asked to. And then what's the rule? 5 minutes. We remember. Okay. And don't touch the mic. Yes. And Kay, I said you weren't going first, but you are going second. So, all right. So we're gonna have Tamar and Kay and Flashlight the poet. I believe this is Tamar's first time ever reading a poem, and this is the first time Flashlight has been here. Came all the way from Port St. Lucie tonight. Okay. All right. Let's get started.
Okay, a few things about myself before we get started. Yes, this is my very first open mic reading of my own poems. And yes, I'm a little bit of jitterbug right now, but it'll pass. And what I write about my heart, what it bestows on my heart. And so what leads to, it mostly leads to love poetry, or poetry of like how it can relate to truth or how can it relate to of a positive marking of, sense of nature, positivity, through my first ever contest writing was in Melbourne. I sent one out to a poetry contest of Pennsylvania, to the Liberty libraries, the libraries of poetry, shot through the heart. But it was a positive outlook on the song, on the actual phrase, which it goes down that way, but it actually was put in a book, but I had to put money towards it. It was very, very tight at the time, so money was like at ransom. So therefore, at ransom, I was like, I'm putting everything towards it, everything towards just being put in the book. And by that, like, you just have to go with the flow, right? Right. So here I am talking with my first poem reading. That's a statement going down is soulmates, rather a baby and rather baby it the wedding. So okay, so a little background here of basically it's talking about revelations. I do believe we're in the revelation part of life. Just bear with me. I'm so excited about it, but basically like logically, I just want y'all to know we're almost to the finish line. So, okay, onward. Someone out of understanding love matters as to be one, ever more serenity to be relaxing as two hearts with everlasting rewarding is of their then apart though together brilliance of love as love conquers all bad from a yesterday. Infinity is truly treasured of honest given up what is evil, for it states it in what Proverbs ends better desired than Ecclesiastics demonstrates in Revelations, noticing God is with us, Isaiah 40, verse 1.
How y'all doing? Okay, I performed here last month. It's a beautiful space. I want to thank y'all. I'm going to talk about connection and dating in 2023. Since the pandemic, connection's been kind of different. So I'm just going to talk about how things have changed and my experience. Dating 2023. Swipe right, swipe left. Oh, they have nice eyes, nice smile. Now that I think about it, they might be too extra. This is what has become of human connection. This little device in our hands, randomly making a match based on a few basic questions. But where is the depth? Where is the emotion? It seems we are so connected, yet so disconnected. At the same time, again, where is the connection? I remember a time where people looked deep into each other's eyes and raised each other's vibrations. And it would become so intense at times, it would start palpitations, and sometimes in between the legs, vibrations. It seems like today everything is so surface level that you barely get a taste of what could be. It's things that start to get too deep. They can just ghost, block, or swipe next so suddenly, even barely before you can even see what it could be. What has become of dating? Will it ever be how we need it to be? Or will it continue to keep things barely scraping on the surface of what something could be? Where in the end, we all need connection, emotion, and devotion. We really need to let go of the ghosting, the boasting, and the posting. Let all that shit go. That's the one thing I want to know. Will there ever be a time where we can just be who we are, all of our faults and all of what we need to be? Or will our rawness scare them off? Or will times go unchanged and we will continue to swipe away and still keep wondering, will there ever be real connection? This is dating in 2023. Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, came from Port St. Lucie. Instagram is Insta Flashlight. It looks like how it sounds. Just gonna do one that's close to my heart. I hope it opens your hearts too. It's called The After Effect. The after effect was amazing. Like my words grew hands to leave fingerprints on your minds as evidence that saying the right things can change your day. Make us all grow close like middle fingers and thumbs. You want an example? Just like that. Oh snap, it ends with a clap. Like Bob Marley says, the best thing about music is that when it hits you, you feel no pain. And the after effect of poetry is one and the same. Because before this, we probably never meet. Or you're still concentrating on how to make your ends meet. Before my story begins, I probably see you but not call you my friend. An art form that will make you think of back when, but not those bad times like daddy's whoopings. But back when coloring outside the line wasn't the goal, but you still got the smiley sticker, and mommy kissed your wounds and somehow they healed quicker. Because you see, we all knew about the recess before the recession. And all knew that one person that known us since we were this tall and was proud of the progression. Like my words are an electrical synapse that causes your worries to collapse, moving from your brain to your hand to open your notebook and write again. Laugh like your head's heavy and you're trying to show God you're grand. Like, I want to be your conversation the next days. Like, guess what I heard at Authentic Lies last night? Followed by your Facebook status with my quotes ended by written by flashlights. And I know when I'm close, because I'll have the people by their ear and get the same high when they say that's exactly what they needed to hear. It feels good. Like time got confused and we celebrated my birthday and tax refund twice, got work in the AM but still talking about good times all night. And I remember the first time it hit me. I released I'm sorry on the stage, and I had to close my eyes because the crowd screamed so loud that they literally blew me away. Like the feeling of the host about to call you to the mic. Like saying a line so perfect that you have to say it twice. I have to say it twice. Like music stopping, but your body's still moving. Like cheering after a touchdown whether your team is winning or losing. I will push poetry like bullies do nerds. Push it real good, like salt and pepper's words. Like saying that you got it without even having to think about it, and you know you got it, and I know I got it. Like that first check you get right after you got a raise. The symptoms include the butterflies disappearing as soon as you hit the stage. The temptation makes me feel like I got sunshine on a cloudy day, and what else could make me feel this way but poetry? And it hits me. Yes, it hits me. When it hits me, just like, thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for the starting out the show. I do want to remind folks, as Flashlight just did, you can share your Instagram. Mine is The Poetic Engineer. You know, tag photos, videos, hashtags, all of that. You're allowed to share that with us here. Dating in 2023 is the same for me, and it's been that way since ever. So I feel your pain. All right, our next three are Emmett, Christian, and Claver.
This is something I wrote that I thought was appropriate for authentic selves. It's a little bit of me. A little bit of me, mental instability and agony. There's things I shouldn't let get to me that seem to get to me, like how I can't have a conversation without analyzing discrepancies. Comes from trust issues, undoubtedly. Constant conflict, I have this push and pull mentality, an appalling condescending sense of vanity. You see, inside of me there's enemies, and I feel like I'm in between when peace coincides with violent tendencies. Tearing out my insides, I've always been self-destructive. I put myself through pain on purpose, should be enough said, but once I fell in love, when I knew I'd end up lovesick. Now maybe if I kept my considerations and my judgments, I wouldn't have pushed the envelope as far as getting dope sick, or maybe if I just would have never ignored the notions. Late nights turned to early mornings, mixing potions. It left me blindsided, eyes wide, and losing focus. They say I have selective hearing. Maybe I heard wrong. Maybe I do that to protect my feelings, or maybe my nerves lost. I'm confused about my mental bearings, my soul's torn. Asking for help is not appealing, and so far, the clock face of the stopwatch won't stop watching. The tick-tock of the shot clock is heart-stopping. I used to say I was thankful for being alive. That was a lie. A closer look, you see the pain in my eyes. I became everything I despised, consumed by a guilt that overtook and left me empty inside. Caused me to overlook all the anger that was fertilized, and further tries and failures only seemed to hurt my pride. Dual personality planted in a young, nervous mind. Reality facilitates an unrelenting service guide. You see, one night, while it was quiet, I heard in my mind the devil fighting angels for a place to reside, until I realized it was me in a battle with God. Am I winning? Am I losing? Are these questions just a nuisance, a distraction meant to keep me from my purpose? And what's my purpose? I'm sick of all these questions with answers I have yet to determine, like, why is it anxiety leaves me panicky and nervous, and why is it so hard to say I'm hurting? Am I pushing them away? Or are they trying to get rid of me? Why do I fear responsibilities are lurking? Nightcaps and white pills, my lack of life skills is certain. OCD tendencies seem to aggressively surface. Perhaps I'm spiritually malnourished due to my lack of contact of God to my person. Now, not as in God like a czar of the heavens, but more like entwined consciousness that's within us. I beg your forgiveness. I sometimes get sidetracked, caught up on specifics, explaining ideas that I shouldn't have mentioned, and it's not that I fear someone getting offended, it's just I can't seem to stay on one task for a minute. ADD keeps me from shaking the habit of turning down trails and chasing down rabbits. It's one of those things that I place in my baggage and carry around, hoping no one will catch it. Place amongst fears and misled intentions, crocodile tears from cries for attention. The masks that I wear make it harder for breathing. I'll just put those back in my bag till I need them. I might need them to look brave while I'm battling demons, or to smile at girls that I'm trying to sleep with, quickly trying to cover insecurities looming, like God forbid someone might find out that I'm human. Maybe it sounds foolish, or maybe it sounds stupid when you hear me saying the same old cliches like I won't do it again, or I'm trying to change, and I say that I'm sick of playing these games, but maybe just losing the ones that I play. So when is enough enough? And what about these changes that I speak of? I feel stuck between waiting for these things to come and going over what things I'm willing to be giving up. Like I get this idea, like something brand new that I'm thinking up, like I can stay the same and change, or go through life without the painful stuff. But I think, like, what would life be if that's the way it was? The pain is gone and so is joy. Now what's the point of waking up? I woke up inside a dream and my life had lacked an angel's touch. But what if I never put my lips to hers and tasted love? What if I never felt the love that's in my children's hugs, or saw the love in my mother's sacrifices for her son? What is love? Love is something that I'll probably receive my whole life but never learn how to express it outwardly. I say that I love you, and that's nice in its own right, but my actions reveal the self-doubt in me. Emotions are not something I deal well with, although I try to be a shoulder to cry on for someone who might depend on me, but honestly, that's just a byproduct of codependency. That's not what love is, but I'm learning. I guess if I had to explain it, that'd be the difference. I'm learning how to be accepting of coexistence. I'm learning how to love as God does with no conditions, and I learned it was just easier to say I had no feelings. So these lessons that I'm learning through these incubated notions, through divine intercession, has brought me from being hopeless to expressing hope and possibilities that have opened and are growing if I'm keeping my heart and my eyes open.
Hi. So last time I read 2 poems and gave a little backstory that one was the poem I wrote before I had writer's block for 7 years, and the other one was the poem I wrote after the writer's block for 7 years. But there was one thing in the middle of those things, and it's not a poem, unfortunately. But I wrote a memoir in the middle of it, so I'd like to share, not the whole thing, a short section from it. So to give you some context, 10 years ago, I met this girl, and I was going through some rough stuff, so I was like thinking in my head, it's probably not a good idea to get involved with her. But then she started texting me, and then after like one weekend, we texted like 1,500 texts or something like that. So it was kind of hard not to. Maybe I'll just turn this into like every month I'll read another little part of it. But so that's good enough. So due to our respective conditions, I made the decision not to pursue Ellie romantically, despite the feelings I harbored for her. I still texted her, but she had recently texted me about a date she had with some foreign exchange student named Monty, and I was overcome with jealousy. In a good faith attempt to clear my head, one of my friends invited me to a writing community house party, but after just about an hour of being there, another small group made their way into the party, Ellie among them. I did not move to greet her. I tried to remain distant and aloof and felt the ugly impulse to spite her, but when she walked over to me to begin a conversation, I couldn't help but put those feelings away and speak normally with her. How are you? Oh, I'm fine. I'm jonesing for some cigs, but I'm broke. You need some? I'll buy you a pack. She politely refused, but there was a wildness in her eyes and a jitter in her voice that betrayed the desperation of her craving. We continued talking, and I insisted 2 or 3 more times until she finally accepted my offer. It was a chilly night in February, and the ground was still covered in the slush and ice of the last snowfall. We left the apartment in the direction of the Casey's gas station, 3 or 4 blocks from there, and on the way, she almost immediately grabbed of my arm and snuggled her head into my shoulder. My heart swelled in my chest, and my inner voice rammed itself repeatedly into the inside of my skull. You know, I think I'm either the smartest or the dumbest guy you'll ever meet. Oh yeah? How so? I think you already know the answer without me saying anything. Yeah, I think I do. We walked in silence for a bit before I came up with something else to say. Are you holding onto my arm because you don't think you can walk alone or just because you want to? She laughed nervously and pulled the warm knit cap on her head down over her face and buried her head further into my shoulder. Don't ask me that while I'm drunk. We walked into the warmth of the gas station. All right, what kind do you want? She pulled her hat over her face again. I don't care. You're buying. You have to pick. Seeing her embarrassment in the situation, I began to interrogate the man behind the counter about the various brands and models on sale and turned it into a whole production. His answers gave me the impression that he had taken up smoking for 2 weeks when he first turned 18 and had never smoked again since. After a few minutes of this performance and her smiling reactions, I bought her a pack of Marlboro Silvers. We stepped back out into the cold winter night, and I lit her cigarette outside with my Zippo. The sight of us in that moment was everything I had ever wanted to feel when I bought that lighter. Me in a suit and tie, lighting the cigarette of a pretty girl with baggage past midnight outside something as squalid as a 24/7 gas station under streetlights and falling snow. We walked back to the party and talked some more outside the house as she finished her second cigarette, and we kept talking beyond its expiration without really noticing. Eventually, we went back inside and parted, but we both kept looking for each other, stealing little moments away together. I stepped outside to get some fresh air and talk to other people and to try to get my mind off her. After about 10 or 15 minutes, she came down the steps from the house, hanging off some other guy's arm as they walked off into the night together, and I knew exactly what would happen, and I could not get the images and thoughts out of my mind. I went back upstairs to talk about what I was feeling with the person that invited me before I left the party shortly after, feeling very sinister. I walked back to my apartment in the falling snow and put my suit up to dry before I threw myself into bed in the oblivion of sleep. And I'll stop there.
We need not shells. We need not shells, just an atmosphere to fend off tons of dust, plus larger barging particles of meteoric thrust. We harden so and petrify, erect selective vaults to falter every enemy, almost anything without. Insurance-ridden, surface-driven, miss we strata surfeit given, which to our eyes proves trifle stuff of air. Like falling star, fears could dissolve approaching. Would we, yes, the miles of blessing overhead. But somehow we insist the brick. And through the dark within continue craters. Puppy sprightly, bursts and bounds up rocks and stones and boulders that flank the water's fall. Ambling, scrambling, no single thought to gambling, traipsing the treacherous slant. Good thing those wily, keen, electric eyes, not fixed to figure, scheme, or ponder wise. Just missed that warning, caution, hazard sign, pinned down on lawn below, all flat benign, where pup began ascent. Just missed our static, tidy, groomed, I can't. Get me to a sunnery. Get me to a sunnery. Mediterranean tract will do. Or Greece, or France, or Sicily. Some sex-sane sound milieu, where friendship's lack of covering men's decent, dexterous brothering. Like hockey player love? Or even Paris lad's caressing of his tomb-fraught comrade's form, who at porch of casket's slander shall not also suffer pander to some paranoia's charm. Alarm! Tombe, chambre! Or does our pocked America too spread its pestilence west, and west, and west, and west, to Mother Europe's nest? Then blackest plague of all, this holding touch so suspect, when what has us ailing all along, unmet long for someone near, at blood and muscle furnace, exile bright. How dare we dwarfing claim for queer? This get me quick to there from here? This rib-caged cloisters, Côte d'Azur's own get me to a sunnery.
Thank you, folks. Anybody that's been here knows that I am very passionate about mental health and sharing that in our poetry. I also like the vulnerability that we just saw in our last few poems, and that, again, is what authenticity is. And I'm happy every time somebody comes here, especially if they've never been here before, that they feel safe and feel comfortable sharing their hearts with us. So thank you very much. Our next three poets are going to be two of our regulars, Anthony and Harold, and then we have a new poet tonight, Holy Love. You guys are quiet tonight. Anthony's not wearing a hat, and I have questions about that.
Yeah, that is my MO. As she just said, my name is Anthony. I'm always here. So before I jump into my poem, I'm only going to read one tonight. I want to talk about something that Lauren actually posted, Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month. I did not know that it was this month, so I thank you for posting that. And it hits home for me because I've actually had a family member who actually committed suicide, another close family member that attempted suicide. So first thing I want to say is that my uncle, he was the one that committed suicide. He, leading up to that suicide, it's Thanksgiving, we hung out. We talked about going on a trip to North Carolina. He's a veteran. Then also he bought a new Harley, purple. He's a big motorhead, so that was a big thing for him. So I never saw it coming. And I think a lot of people, if anybody can relate to that, or hasn't gone through it, or has witnessed other people going through, you just don't see it coming. First, I want to say, don't ever think like you did anything wrong. I don't know who I'm talking to. You can do things such as reach out to anybody, and no matter how successful they look like they are, how great they seem like they're doing, you never know. And if you don't reach out, it's not your fault. That's something that I've actually wrestled with a lot. And then another thing, and the last thing I'm gonna talk about on that topic is in the black community, specifically with black males, we really don't talk about like mental health. We don't talk about our feelings. We hold it all in. I'm guilty of that for sure. I'm learning to not do that. And a lot of times I think it leads to situations where we got people committing suicide, and then we thinking like they're weak, but no, they're not weak. You just got to think about the strife they were going through to get them to that point. It had to be a lot. So I just want to say that real quick, and I'm gonna jump on to another topic, but hopefully that helps somebody, and I'm just putting it out there because it's a real issue. So, and we got to try to figure out how we prevent that, so. All right, so this piece I'm gonna share, it's kind of about systemic racism, and then a little bit of white supremacy. Specifically right now, dealing with our illustrious governor, I think that's a topic we need to talk about. It's called Roses and Violets, and it's not a love poem.
Sorry. That was good.
Roses are red cursive, the word liquor glowing in a glittering Coliseum sky. Police siren orchestra plays every Friday, as every other Friday, when two dice collide with worn walls like bills in a come-up. Violets are blue milk crates, TED Talk audience to a man leathery as love. His Newport droops as he soapboxes about King Jr., the Metro street sign marking dilapidated city blocks. It's the silver duct tape to rebelling lips. Roses are red brake lights, the roadside bouquet, crucifix adjacent King Jr. Park, pristine like the vanilla suburbia surrounding the park. Roses remain red and violets stay blue as a Sam Cooke run, middle passage long and running. And that's pretty much all I got from you guys. I just want to give myself a little time to talk about the mental health stuff, because I think that had to be said, and again, I appreciate you saying that. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, again, my name is Anthony Collins, but on Instagram, I'm known as TC The Grill, at TC The Grill. TC, the Grill is spelled Griot. TC The Grill, I follow back, I support, so thank you.
First and foremost, I'd like to give my respect to the Creator without whom nothing is possible. I'd like to welcome you all with the warmest of greetings, and that is the greetings of peace and love. No history tonight, just 50 years of hip hop. So I picked a particular artist for a particular reason, DMX. So this is a tribute to him. See, to live is to suffer. To survive, well, that's to find the meaning in the suffering. Earl Simmons, AKA DMX. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. She maketh me to lie down in green pastures. She leadeth me beside the still waters. She restoreth my soul for her name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest the table in the presence of mine enemies, and anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I'm just a troubled man in a troubled land, mentally, spiritually, and physically incarcerated, yet seeking righteousness the best I can. I need the Father to help bear witness, cleansed by the blood of the Lamb when I fell to my knees and begged for mercy and for forgiveness. If the world could look through my eyes and see what I see, they would want to see me. If they could feel the pain I feel, they would want to feel me. Dear Lord, I'm screaming as loud as I can, while they act like they don't hear me. Are they afraid to be a victim of my rage? I was born behind bars, so I know how the lion feels trapped in a cage. But I done changed. I guess they'll never understand. They always see me in troubled times as a troubled man. Hey, yo, I'm slipping, I'm falling, I can't get up. Hey, yo, I'm slipping, I'm falling, I can't get up. Hey, yo, I'm slipping, I'm falling, I can't get up. I gotta get back on my feet so I can tear shit up. I'm on a mission seeking God, won't you help me find him? But the devil's in my path, won't you help me fight him? It seems that every day I'm facing death. My ancestors and came and passed, they done took their last breaths. Yet I'm steady trying to deny the fact that I'm a lost soul. Which path will I take because I'm standing at the crossroads? I'm lost in a state of confusion, trapped between heaven and hell. And inside my mind is this mental jail cell. I'm seeing concrete walls and concrete sidewalks, observing the world through razor-wire fences, watching innocent men serving a life sentence. I'm screaming, Lord, Lord, don't you hear me calling? Please grab my hand because I feel myself falling. I need to talk to God so I can understand. I want to walk on the moon. I want to touch the sun, but I'm afraid I burn my hand. Listen, don't you hear the drums? Don't you see all these young innocent faces trapped off in these ghetto slums? I just want to love and be loved. But in the pen, who's going to hug this troubled man? Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take.
Hi, everyone. My name is Holy Love. That's W-H-O-L-Y. It's the correct way to spell it. Whole is W-H-O-L-E, right? We remove the E and put the Y. That's complete. All right? I am a poet, but I like to say I spoken speak. That's what I love to do. And so I need a little participation tonight for this piece that I've just kind of put into my head. That's how I do most of my work. It's right here. And it's like a streamline of consciousness. So I need your help tonight as I talk through this piece that I have. All right? So it looks like we have a great room. All right? So I like to split it if I can. All right? There's a piece of my song, by the way, it's called Heart Earth. All right? We're talking about mental health. And one of the ways in which we can change our mental health is to focus on the place in which we dwell, Earth. Earth tells us a story. We have to listen to Earth's story in order to change the trajectory of our lives. That's first and foremost. So this is called Heart Earth. So there's a part where, I guess you wanted to call it the hook of the song, but it goes, everything we start, we heart Earth. Everything we do with love. Heart, Earth, heart, earth, heart, earth, heart, earth, okay? So I'm gonna need some help in this. I'm gonna walk you through it, I'll point, but this side right here, if you can be my hearts, and this side over here, be my earth. So I say, so if I point over here, it's heart, and over here is earth. Heart, earth, heart, earth, heart, earth. Yes, beautiful. All right, this is heart, earth. This comes straight from the divinity, spoken to me as high priority. You see this earth? It's junky and it's funky. We have to clean it up so then we live free. All right? Everything we start, we heart, earth. Everything we do with love. Heart, earth, heart, earth, heart, earth, heart, earth. Yes. Everything we start, we heart, earth. Everything we do with love. Heart, earth, heart, earth, heart, earth, heart, earth. Yes. Everything I start, I heart, earth, because I know its value and I know what it's worth. From the clouds in the sky to the roots in the earth, put some respect on its name because it became first. We all came from the same, the creator's starburst, and love will always remain the divine's universe. This earth gave birth to us, so let's pursue to claim it and say enough's enough with the verdict that we can change it. If we start to clean it up, then we have time to rearrange it. This earth is smoking at least 48 stacks a day. No wondering why some people smoke packs a day. Next time you're questioning why we all act this way, look to the earth to reflect back facts like the cracks in our skin match the cracks in its waterways. Waterways, waterways. It has the seas, the trees, the birds, minus the bees. BEEs are BUGs, they're destructive. Flowers brings us honeys. It nurtures cows, fish, and chicken, minus that finger licking. Membranes are really sickin'. Up chuck those ovaries. Did she say up chuck those ovaries? Yes, she said up chuck those chicken eggs. PERIOD. Everything we start, we heart, earth. Everything we do with love. Heart, earth, heart, earth, heart, earth, heart, earth. Yes, everything we start, we heart, earth. Everything we do with love. Heart, earth, heart, earth, heart, earth, heart, earth. Yes, this world is in deficit. That's why we keep getting sick. If we want to be healthy, we have to heal it with the opposite. Love is a profit because it comes to us naturally. But we're all addicted to something human destroyed chemically. They say we're in crisis and it's impacting us mentally. Chemical in nature, attempting to drain us of energy. Even the earth with all these drillings has pipes with oil filling. It's like a phlebotomy connecting ivy to artery. And when that oil gets spilling into our rivers and seas, it's like the earth miscarries a birth deficiency. We need to ride a new wave on our new frequency, disconnect that IB and add LOE. That's I love. Give it to earth immediately. A big hug, BIGHUG, where IO ends, our creator is energy. It's feminine, gives birth. DEVINE, GODDLOVE. It's loving, it's KIND. It's beautiful, NATURE. It's perfect. It's bigger than family. Who needs friends when it ends in END? And in the end, love begins and wins with symmetry, synchrony, and synergy. The earth says, sync with me, ILOVE. Everything we start, we heart, earth. Everything we do with love. Heart, earth, heart, earth, heart, earth, heart, earth. Yes, everything we start, we heart, earth. Everything we do with love.
Heart, earth, heart, earth, heart, earth, heart, earth.
Yes. Blessings, peace, and all.
Thank you, everybody. Anthony, I appreciate the sidebar on suicide prevention and mental health. I think we've talked about that here in this room. Some of us have been there, or we've been not ourselves, and it's okay not to be okay, right? So, yeah, there's a month for everything, mental health and suicide prevention and Hispanic heritage and Black history, and what do we have to remember? All of it is all the time. All of it is all the time. And we talk about it here all the time. That's how we started this show. So, Harold, your poem on DMX. I don't know if you remember when Curtis did like this 15-minute poem on DMX. He's going to be really upset that he missed that. I had to text him. So before I call up the last three, is there anybody that, if there's anybody that signed up for the open mic that I'm not about to announce, or you have not spoken to me, please let me know, or it's too late. And then again, my Instagram is _poetic engineer. Anthony knows it better than me. Please tag Timokwa Arts, tag Authentic Selves, share any pictures, video. I will share after the show also, so find me, follow, etc. And thank you for being here tonight. So our last three are Carly, Logan, and Kaylee.
Hi, my name's Carly. Last night was my first time reading a poem at an event, so this is my second night, so I'm going to read from my phone, and I don't really like audiences, but I do like how Lauren and Anthony, everyone's talked about mental health, so I guess what brought me here tonight was yesterday was I've been fighting addiction for 14 years, and yesterday was my 7 months, and I've lied about sobriety. And I've lied about my sobriety a lot to a lot of people, and this is the first time I've stuck to it, so I'm proud of myself for that, but I was really tempted to relapse this week, so I've been writing poetry ever since I've gotten sober for the first time in 14 years, and so a lot of pain about the things that I was masking with substances and working because I thought money would, could buy my happiness. And I lost my house in the hurricane last year, and then everything just went down the tube after that. And but it brought me to this point where I was left with just the willpower to need to rely on the higher power to get me through everything. So this is called Tailor Made, and it also brings in body dysmorphia because I struggle with that as well. So step onto the scale. You can't be serious. How'd I gain 2 pounds over the weekend? What's the cure for self-hatred? Found out the hard way, it's not substances. Now I'll format these words instead as an effort to heal and understand. Every attempt to write this, tears sit behind my eyelids, an apology to my body with the bit of an explanation. Watching the most beautiful people have children, we were told we couldn't do that. So I made a different commitment, marry my career and collect possessions. Tangible objects like kids, I'll even name them. Thought I had the perfect life plan. Combat my feelings with substances and brands. Corrupt society standards, sacrificing morals for appearance. No secret the world we live in places a heavy emphasis and detraction on physical looks and status. Clutching my designer purse, wrap the tape measure around my curves. Do these numbers tell you my worth? A reflection that's vacant in the mirror with an empty stare. Are you there? Eyes glare, masking sadness. Body dysmorphia at its finest. I've treated you like the enemy. We were supposed to be a team. Hoping my body can forgive me. for filling it with toxins and verbal negativity. The names I called you, the self-harm endured, I didn't know how else to communicate my hurt. I ask my body now if we can be friends. It said it's waited our whole life for this. Tells me it thinks I look perfect. Let's get comfortable in my own skin. Beauty isn't a size, what lies within. Our body shelters our soul, neglecting to make the interior feel like home. Don't let your body be bullied by your mind. There's so much more to us than meets the eye. Redirecting my focus on love and appreciation, reminder that we're God's creation. He cares about our heart's condition, each of us intricately made by him, with the purest of intention. To serve the kingdom and live in good faith, our gene size won't open heaven's gates.
Getting over a broken hip, so stairs are gonna make sure I attack them right.
They're dangerous stairs.
Yeah. But, you know, at other events, when there's no railing, I ask my friends, I get to be escorted onto the stage like royalty. But it's really just so I don't fall.
Are you getting me back for earlier today for making sure you come?
What?
Never mind.
Am I getting it for making sure?
Go ahead.
She was at an event I was at, and she made me come.
I'll walk you up the stairs next time.
All right. Like royalty.
I said I'll walk you up the stairs.
There's only one way. This is a persona poem. It's called Your Pen. You don't hold me like you used to. Did you forget where last you laid me sideways? Black juice sits still water in my slender loaded vial. I still want to spill my insides and trails of dream as it rushes out, one stroke at a winding time. We chased bodies to the edge, you and me, then looked off the page. On the surface we stretched truths, where lines stopped we crossed. You led, I wrote, now I am lost. I was your tool, your pen. You used me good. I gave into your grip, your fingers left warm their prints in the polish of my barrel's metal. But when I laid the syrup on thick, we were together, a chiseled image. My spine arced its lead wire at your wrist and knuckles bend and crack. Disbelief was a foreign body to my ink that left the fibers swollen. It was permanent then. When I did stop, I never went dry. You were crying. So as brine from your eyes came storm drops on the page, I quieted the writings. Your phrase unfinished. I gave you time to find the thoughts. When you began again, I wasn't ready as all. You carved a trench with my sharpened tip, then stopped right as I gave in a single point of a sentence that didn't deserve to end like that. My hollow point pierced the page and stained dark fruit through to the white sheets beneath. You held me in one stabbing, and I poured mascara-steeped tears in every midnight shade. And you drained the glass flute held center between my cavern walls, cuffed at either end with a silver ring. Not many know your colors so black and white like I do. Your thumb hammered, pushing that constant cocking of my steel-coiled trigger to arouse out of me birth in safety from your words. It was your pulse I felt in your grasp precede and match the same rhythmic clicking of my Click, 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 click. Though with all my body from top to tip, I didn't always know what you meant. You were just as lost for words as a speech soaked in white paint. You brought me close to your face. Hot gas burned, teeth came out, the clench on my brass clasp. I liked it there, though, in your mouth. My ink dripped outright then, with no words planned. It fell, my shape a vandal, from your chin and splattered on the desk. You saw what the modernists meant then. I don't recall if it hurt when I bled. I do know I felt it. That filthy stain, I'm sorry. I spoke without your consent, leaving a pool of dirty frustration. What I wrote for you that day can't be read back again. And that was a blank. Where I filled the empty, now I'm cold in the hollow where your hand once held me. I awoke, still clicked. I see a sliver of light through the drawer you never open. I will dry out like this. And here an old watch of yours bites skeleton teeth behind a pretty face of scratches. Moving a hand slow to a tune I knew of your heart, I felt when I laid long in your palm. Maybe it's safer. I will be forgotten. A new adventure. But I don't know what becomes or does not of things like me now. I only ever wrote down the memories. I think that's my time.
I don't know, but sure, you're good.
Okay. I wasn't kidding.
Clearly not.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kaylee. I am very happy to be here and very grateful to you all for holding space. I almost didn't come. I'll be completely transparent and authentic. I am living a very chaotic life right now, so this is a little bit of an ode to creation from chaos and to anyone who can relate to that. I didn't even know it was happening until about 15 minutes ago before I came, so this is completely authentic. Not as prepared. I also have never been to a poetry reading or done one, so as authentic as it comes. So please forgive me if I trip over my words. I also want to say thank you to everyone for being so authentic and vulnerable. It's been very beautiful. I'm so grateful that I came, and a lot of you said a lot of things that hit home for me, especially with suicide awareness and mental health, as unfortunately my life has attracted a lot of experiences of deaths of family members and friends, I think too many for my age, and addiction and suicide. So I also kind of want to dedicate this to my friend Hope, who recently took her life, as well as Miles, my friend Cole, and Mikey. All happened within the past year, and the long list of angels that I have. So I will hop right into it. This is going to be a little bit of a three-part. I also relate to the reader who mentioned a 7-year writer's block. The first one I'm going to read is something that I just wrote down one day. It just came to me. I was having a very beautiful day. Inspiration came and spoke, and my fingers did the work. So that is the first one. That was 7 years ago, 2016. The next one kind of represents where I'm at right now and something that came to me about a month ago as I'm going through a lot. And then the last one wraps it up. So a little bit of a three-part in polarity. So, I would rather die of passion than boredom. I decided deep down inside me to fly through the air and live in the sunlight, to enjoy life as much as I can. I ride with the windows down and basically live out of my car. I walk barefoot and I like to get dirty. I like to live on the edge and in the moment, so I'm always a little late. I dance while I shop and sing with no regards to who might be listening. I'm in love with words and colors. I like to read books in the bath and eat in the shower. I'll never pass up a sunset or a butterfly chase. I like filthy, weird, strange music and pretty sounds and everything in between. I prefer a bunch of flowers to some expensive jewelry. I'll take those flowers with me everywhere, and I'll give most of them out to strangers. I love my plants, and I think animals have souls too. I'll go in the ocean with clothes and skinny dip in the river. I howl at the moon and drink in rays of sun like they're water. Half the time I don't brush my hair, and my favorite form of makeup consists of paint, stains all over my body and glitter on my cheeks. I believe in kindness. I believe in creativity. I believe in the moon's energies. I believe in self-love, forgiveness, the universal truths, and I believe in magic. I believe in answering the call to whatever excites your spirit and makes you feel whole. I would rather save my money for traveling than go out and get shitty in town with people who aren't having fun. I value honesty, compassion, laughter, good food, naps and hammocks, adventures and memories, because those last a lifetime, not money. I think you're beautiful, and I love you, every single one of you, in your own unique and special ways. I try every damn day to seize the moment and be better than the girl I knew yesterday, ever changing and always loving. I believe you owe that to yourself. This is your life to live. I will never be a well-behaved woman, and I love myself for that. That was 2016. I miss those innocent times. Thank you. This next one is now. Why does the cage bird sing? She believes her music may bend the metal, that one day she can fly still, regrow her lost feathers like a rose does its petals. She believes in magic, so she continues to move along. She believes that she can have it, or maybe find it in a song. Why does the cage bird sing? She believes her love may loosen the lock, that one day she can fly still, feel the wind in her wings bend at her will. She believes in magic, so she continues to be strong. She believes that she can be it, or maybe find it before long. Why does the cage bird sing? She believes her kindness may create a way, or a key, that one day she can fly still, soar as high as the skies just as soon as she takes that leap and decides, heart and mind, to dive deep. She believes in magic, so with this kindness she rights all wrongs. She believes and finally sees that it is with warm sunshine that shadows belong. So why does the cage bird sing? Though her song could not be heard, though she was no longer seen. Why does the cage bird sing? Though she stopped living, lost her freedom, though she wanted to scream. At first, she thought she was all alone, singing to herself in a shell of a home. She sang till her teary and shut eyes opened up and realized she was not the only one. That's when she decided to sing to the sun. Then she sang to the trees, and she sang to the breeze within its leaves, to all of the beauty within this cage and what it tried to keep, locked away in a spot they thought that it couldn't be felt or seen. Then she sang to the muse and the moon till she uncovered a truth in the tune that was there all along. She sang her song on and on until she was strong. Her music bent the metal, her love loosened the lock, her kindness created a key. She tuned her tune and attuned to her truth until it was her, in the end, that set herself free. If that bird was me, I would like to believe I too would sing. Truth is, that cage bird was me, and believe it or not, I really did sing. Then the melody revealed one final truth about what set me free. The rhythm and the reason that the cage fell away, so I could finally feel the wind in my wings, was the magic in the moment I let all fears fall away and started finally singing for me. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Learning to fly amidst everything. And final one to tie it all up, this one is Manic and Magic. Manic and Magic. I am me. I am all of these things. I am terror and beauty and will love myself still. Confirmations, affirmations, manic, magic, I am me. I am all of these things, all this and more. I won't crouch into myself, I will be bold. I am terror and beauty, I don't need to be told. I don't fit their mold, I can't be controlled. I will never fall into foolish hearts decomposed, neglected and disrespected until they go cold. Beneath their ice there is light, hearts made of gold in disguise. But I will choose to be wise, not led by fear. I will never again hide this gold of mine, not bury this treasure nor compromise, not for all of the gold under the skies. I choose to accept myself. Be led by love, curiosity, my heart's delights, for I know my truths, I let them all shine. I am magic. I am manic. I am magic in all of the infinite complexities, in all of its capacities, intensity, serenity, unapologetic authenticity. I am me, I am all of these things. Life's gift to me, my personal thrill. I am all of these things and more, and I will love myself still. Thank you. Again, so grateful for this and everyone here. This is awesome. And my Instagram, if anyone wants to follow, I think I will continue to be ingrained in this community more because it's really cool and uplifting, is Lil Wolf Fairy. So if anyone wants to follow, LILWOLFARIE. Kind of strange. Thank you again.
Looking up your Instagram right now. I see it. Thank you, everybody. That is our show tonight. Again, it is the third Sunday of every month, 7:30, and we hope to see you here. Please drop off your cups at the bar, and then we would like to let our lovely hosts go to bed. So we will mingle outside, and anybody who's performed will get a group photo outside also. Thank you.